Ladies and gentlemen, in the words of the wise Kevin Harlan, did we just see what I think we just saw? Houston stuns Duke in the Final Four, one seed on one seed. Houston wins the battle. Now, the result on paper may not look very shocking, but what is shocking is the fact that Duke was up 14 with 8 minutes to go. They were up as much as nine with just a handful of minutes to go, up six with 30 seconds to go, and Houston finds a way. I mean, this Houston team, we've seen them do it at Allen Fieldhouse where Kansas had a nice little lead in the closing seconds, and this team just keeps fighting and keeps fighting. And it was a night where they really couldn't get anything that they were really hoping to get into on offense. LJ Cryer in the first half, it was his show. Nobody else could buy a bucket, but then you see a guy like Emmanuel Sharp down the stretch. He had scored all nine of Houston's points going into like the 2 minute mark, I think, and he really willed Houston to stay into that game, which set up the final stretch where people are going to be talking about this for a long time. Tyrese Proctor, he goes to the line with a chance to extend the lead and really kind of put the game more not to bed, but in a comfortable spot. He misses. Cooper Flag gets called for an over the back. That leads to Juwan Roberts hitting two free throws to give him the 1 point lead. Next thing you know, Cooper Flag goes down the court, gets a pretty good look from mid range, misses. Houston hits two more free throws with just seconds to go with a 3 point lead, and that's it. 70-67. The Cougars hold on. And I just want to start with Cooper Flag here as I try to process everything. This game just ended. This is really the most instant reaction of all instant reactions I've done on this podcast. My co-hosts aren't here to do it with me, but I had to just talk about this game and what we just saw because this is one of the best games I think that we've seen in Final Four history in terms of the late game dramatics. It really wasn't there for the whole 40 minutes because Duke really was the better team for most of it. But gosh, this is a meltdown that I think is going to haunt Duke fans for a long time. But Cooper Flag, I don't think that he is warranted any criticism whatsoever, even though he did miss the shot that could have gave Duke the win and might have given Duke the win. I think Houston would have had a couple of seconds left to work with, but nonetheless, I mean, 27 points, 3 for 4 from three, 8 for 19 from the field, 7 boards to go with it, and 4 assists. Cooper Flag, you got nothing to hang your head about, my man. You're going to be going to the NBA draft as the consensus #1 overall pick. Phenomenal freshman season. You just won the Naismith and the Wooden. It's going to sting that this national title isn't going to be able to be an accomplishment to add to his resume now for a phenomenal freshman season. But this really comes down to the fact that besides Con Knipple, Cooper Flag just had no relief in this game whatsoever. Came in Malawatch, he had a major height advantage in the post, and while he was pretty efficient with his 6 points, didn't really get boards the way that you expect him to, not getting none at all, actually. Really just got most of his work done at the free throw line. But Tyrese Proctor and Zion James both going 2 for 8 for Tyrese Proctor, 3 for 9 for Zion James. That can't happen on this big of a stage. I get that Cooper's an elite talent. Con Knipple, he's an elite talent as well. You can't put all the pressure on your freshmen to just handle it late in these games. Somebody else has got to step up, and there was just no offensive options whatsoever outside of them. I mean, Mason Gillis off the bench didn't provide you anything. Isaiah Evans and Caleb Foster didn't really provide you anything either. Malik Brown, he was effective at shutting Houston down with the minutes that he got, but not really an offensive threat. And gosh, if you're a Duke fan, I think this is one you're going to be hitting yourself over for a long, long time. We just talked about how Auburn in the last game, that's going to be one that haunts their nightmares for a long time. Duke, I really do think that if they win this game and they go into that national championship, they may have had the upper hand against Florida, but now you're never going to know what happened there because of just this epic collapse. I mean, gosh, it's just like I said, I'm trying to process all this right now. It's just unbelievable to see how wide of a margin they had. 14 points with 8 minutes to go. And really, I mean, the whole game, they were in control when you look at this. I mean, Houston started off absolutely brutal. 9 points in 11 minutes of first half action. Duke goes into the halftime with 6 point lead. Really could have been more than that if it wasn't for LJ Cryer just such a gritty game in the first half, really the opposite of the previous game where both teams were going blow for blow on the offensive end in the first couple of minutes. And then Cooper Flagg, he really began to take over in that second half. Conkin he did a lot of his work in the first half, and it looked like things were going to get away from Houston, really. Tugler went to the bench with 3 fouls at the 13-minute marker, and he's a guy that you really look to on that Houston team to take care of things defensively, and he was probably their best matchup for Cooper Flagg, and they went without him for a little bit. And Houston was fighting back, but Duke had a response to every single thing. And then once it got to about under 10, there was that stretch starting at about, I believe it was when there was that non-contact technical on Mason Gillis that led to 2 free throws where LJ Cryer made one, and then they got a floater. That's when things really started to change in this game. Duke proceeded to go on a stretch of no field goals for 7 minutes until Cooper Flagg hit a 3 that put him up 9. You thought that was going to be it for him, but then Emmanuel Sharp, he comes in and saves the day. He puts up 9 points for Houston in a stretch where nobody else could really get anything going. And then it all ultimately led to that final stretch of the game that I mentioned where Houston just took advantage of the mental errors of Duke. And that's going to be really just one that lingers a long time for John Shire. His first shot at the Final Four, I mean, not the best first impression to make. I'm going to be brutally honest here. And I think there's some decisions he could have made in this game that would have set them up a little bit better. But, gosh, I mean, we got to talk about the resolve of this Houston team as much as we got to talk about Duke because they had every reason just to pack it in. You know, it's not our night. We're not hitting shots. We're down 14 with 8 minutes left. But no, that's not the DNA of Kelvin Sampson's program. That's not the way that he goes about it. And that now you're going to see they're in the national championship, and they're going to have a very good shot to take this home against Florida. And the resilience, too, of just, you know, Joseph Tugler, he makes that terrible mistake of hitting the ball on the inbound that leads to a technical foul. And that was really a part of the game in those final moments, the last minute, that you really thought, okay, it's just not meant to be. The comeback effort was well fought, but just not enough. And they responded through all the adversity. Jawan Roberts stepped up in that huge spot with the free throws to give the lead. And that's a guy that hasn't really been known for his free throw making ability at all this season. Only 62% on the season. And it's just remarkable to see him step up in that pressure packed of a spot and find a way to get it done. And gosh, this was just such an unbelievable Final Four. Duke, one of the best teams all time in KenPom. Houston, one of the best teams all time in KenPom. And then on the other side of things, Florida and Auburn. It was just all around amazing Final Four. I hate to see Cooper Flagg go out like that. But gosh, I mean, I'm at a loss for words here. It's just remarkable to see Houston pull that off through all the adversity. And now we're going into this national championship against Florida for them, where I think they've got a good shot. They match up well against Florida. They're going to have the defensive ability to try and contain Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin if they really just hone in on that. They've got the advantage in the post, I would say, with Jawan Roberts. I think he's a little bit more skilled than their bigs. He's a little bit more undersized than them, but I do like what he offers. And gosh, I mean, we're set up for an absolutely unbelievable finale to this season. I'm going to talk more tomorrow with my co-host about how this game unfolded. This is just my raw, genuine reactions. But biggest takeaway, that's just a meltdown that Duke is never going to be able to forget about. They're going to be talking about that one for a long, long time. And they're going into next year with obviously a great group of talent coming in with the Boozer twins and more. Shire's going to get to work in the portal. They're going to reload. We know that. But this team was so special to watch. Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, Tyrese Proctor was really stepping up as a veteran leader, and just all around, you really thought this team had the juice to get that title that they've gone 10 years without now since 2015. But it's not meant to be. Kelvin Sampson is going to have a chance to get one with this Houston program that's been the definition of resilient throughout the years. They really have made a name for themselves as a program. by defensive tenacity, and now they've added the shot makers into the fold too with the Emmanuel Sharps and the L.J. Criers, Milo Suzon. And it showed tonight. You saw the best of them on defense, and you saw the best of them in the clutch with offense and finding a way to get the job done. We're set up for a very, very good finale here, folks. And I just love that we've had a great Final Four after the disappointment that, well, not really a disappointment. I enjoy all NCAA tournament basketball, regardless of how it may be, just because it's my favorite tournament of all the major sports tournaments. And I'll never be unsatisfied with what the product is unless it's just beyond terrible. But, the narrative out there was this has been a boring tournament overall. Well, you just got served up two of the better Final Four games we've seen in quite some time. We're set up for a really, really great finish here in the national championship game. But congratulations to the Cougars of Houston. It's absolutely remarkable that they were able to pull off that comeback against all odds. Down 14 with 8 minutes left, down 9 with just a few minutes to go, rallying, just absolutely shutting off the water on Duke, not letting them get to what they wanted to do. And Cooper Flagg, I mean, his career at Duke, it's going to come to an end with that shot just lingering in his brain. I feel terrible for the kid because he's had a phenomenal year, but that's the brutality of March sometimes. You win some, you lose some. You're going to have the March heroes, and sometimes things are going to come up short. But congratulations to Houston fans. You all deserve it. It's going to be a good one against Florida here. We're going to have more preview of it coming up.